Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rebalancing Health. I'm Oren, physical therapist, and I specialize in the treatment of chronic pain. Thank you to all the people who are watching live and also to the people who are watching as on video. So today we're going to continue with our series on fibromyalgia. We started last time with fibromyalgia patients and what they can do for themselves, but I wanted to have a little bit more detail for things that fibromyalgia sufferers can do at home, especially when they're having a flare-up, but also in general. So the first thing, I guess, is something that helps is acceptance. Acceptance if you have a diagnosis of fibromyalgia. No, it is real. What you're experiencing is real.
Let's see. Hold on a second. For some reason, we should be having sound. Go ahead. Someone doesn't have sound, but we should have sound. So go ahead.
So the things that fibromyalgia patients can do for themselves and things that might help. First of all, it's understanding that it is a very real condition. It's okay if you have it. It is what it is, and sometimes it can be draining when you're constantly trying to prove to the world that this is something real that you're going through, and there's a lot of doubt because it doesn't show up on an X-ray and so on. A lot of people say they feel that their family doesn't even believe them or so on, but it is very real. And if you have anyone in your family that you would like to have them call me and speak to me about this condition, then I will confirm to them that it's very real what you're experiencing, and that even though it doesn't show up on imaging or any regular test or test coming down the pike that might confirm it, but for the moment it's just based on the symptoms. So what can you do? Well, I think one of the most important things to manage the fibromyalgia is what we discussed one time, that's called medical pacing. In medical pacing, what you do is you find a level of exercise that is not above what the brain accepts as dangerous. Okay. Unfortunately, you see, right now, I'm out of shape. So if I went to run a half marathon, for example, I would end up in a lot of soreness and pain, and I'd be, probably bedridden for a couple of days because I haven't trained for that. My body's not used to that kind of activity, and I don't have the capacity for that. Well, for someone with fibromyalgia, that capacity might be 500 yards. Their body will react in the same way. So the important thing is to know what that limit is, and then to do activities that are just low level. Maybe 500 yards is your limit for walking. To walk 300 yards. At 300 yards, the brain is still accepting that the activity is safe, and therefore not reacting in such a strong way. Unfortunately, many people with fibromyalgia feel that they should be able to do more, and so they force it. They do this no pain, no gain thing. I'm not going to let this disease keep me down, and so on. And then on the days that they're able to, they'll just go and they'll do, instead of the 300 yards, they'll do a mile or 2 miles, but just because they feel that they should be able to do that. Well, then they end up, 2 or 3 days in bed with a lot of pain. It's this feast or famine kind of roller coaster ride with activity and pain and activity and pain and so on. So you want to try to really avoid that. So medical pacing, what you do is you bring it down to a level that the brain does not feel that it's dangerous. And then you keep doing that several times in a row, and then you just slowly nudge that barrier up, and it will go past the 500 yards, then it'll go to 600 and 700 and so on. Eventually, you may even get to that 2 or 3 miles that you're yearning for, but you're not going to get there by doing the 2 or 3 miles on the first day. So that's one important thing, medical pacing. Another thing is sleep. And sleep comes with a sleep routine, to have some kind of regular activities that you do to prepare for sleep, sleeping at roughly the same time every night, turning off all the lights in the bedroom, not constantly checking the clock. Also coming with sleep hygiene is this notion of not lying down in bed and then to start planning all the activities for the following day. It's better to do that earlier in the evening, to make a list, write down all the things for the next day, because invariably what happens once we lie down in bed and we start thinking of all the things we have to do for the next day, it stimulates us and it gets the brain thinking, I mustn't forget this thing, I mustn't forget that thing. You need to quiet down the system. Also, what comes along with that is to decrease stress. Stress and fibromyalgia kind of go hand in hand, where the staying in a state of stress actually makes the pain worse. So avoid stress. Do things that decrease stress, like deep breathing exercises and meditation, prayer, whatever works for you, listening to music, quieting down the system. And of course, another thing that that helps is for decreasing stress is to limit media, whether it's the anything that's on the television or the cable is really designed to stimulate you. Whether you're watching a reality show or the news or so on, it can activate the system and increase stress. Also, they should not watch anything stimulating just before going to sleep. See how all these things are tied in: the sleep, the stress, the media. Not watch anything in the, let's say, the hour or two just before going to sleep, because apart from the fact that it's usually bright lights that are stimulating for, in terms of the melatonin, it's stopping the melatonin production in your brain. When you have bright lights, the brain is not getting the cues that you're winding down your activities and going to sleep. So these things apply generally, and I also want to mention in terms of when you're having a flare-up. Okay, so with fibromyalgia, it's important to maintain some kind of physical activity even when you're having a flare-up. Okay, so it's not like that you're active, and then when you have a flare-up, you do nothing. It's important to actually continue to do a low level of activity. It's been shown in fibromyalgia if you maintain a low level of activity, that shortens the flare-up, and it's just also good in terms of when you're not in a flare-up, to maintain the level of activity, sub-threshold medical pacing, but to maintain that level of activity, because that is protective against the flare-ups. Okay, and again, the meditation, the quieting down the system, avoid stressors, and don't forget nutrition. is also very important in terms of then during the flare-up, the body needs the nutrition in order to, you know, do what it does for the immune system and get the system back to what is the baseline. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. Again, fibromyalgia is a very real condition. Don't let anybody tell you that it's in your head, that it's not real. Try to explain to family members that you need their support, you need their understanding. And again, like I say, I'm available. My number is my cell phone number. 770-815-8512, and you can always call me, ask me questions about fibromyalgia. If you need a family member to call in order for me to explain that it's a very real condition and their support is needed. So next time we'll talk about other things that people can do, fibromyalgia notwithstanding, in order to better improve the chronic pain condition, decrease pain, increase function. That's always the goal. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.